Hi everyone, welcome back to my garden. My name is Jen, and even though we're in the middle of a heat wave, there are still some chores that need to get done. So that's what we're going to be tackling today. Also, over the weekend, it was pretty windy, so I did film a couple of things that we did outside, but I didn't do any audio because it was so windy. So let's go ahead before we get started in today's chores. Let's go ahead, rewind, go back, and see what we accomplished in our front flower bed last weekend. First up, I decided to refresh and plant up the 2 cement containers that we have on our front stoop. Make sure that you stay tuned until the very end of this video. I did add in some bloopers because I was just slap happy from the heat. And as we were working out front, we did have our dog Luna with us. So you can see her in the background. She keeps going into the flower bed and then we keep chasing her out of the flower bed. It was a game to her. She had a great time. Back to working on the planters, my local garden center had a sale on Proven Winner annuals, 50% off. So I got each of these annuals for $3 a piece. I was really excited about that deal. The main focal point of each of these planters is going to be a Proven Winner Sun Coleus. This does well in the full sun and it really does thrive in the heat. Normally Coleus like to stay in the shade, but Proven Winners did come out with a sun-loving version. Around the Sun Coleus, I am planting some Super Bells, a Diamond Frost Euphorbia, and a Sedum. And the last step is going through and taking some potting soil and filling in any of the gaps. Now I'm going to do the exact same thing in the other planter. Because I ran out of slow release fertilizer, I just mixed up some liquid organic fertilizer and watered both containers in well. Next up is power washing the front stoop and the sidewalk. This was very satisfying. I love power washing. It's so nice to watch it go from really dirty and gross to nice and fresh and clean. And for any of those of you who are watching this and enjoy a little bit of ASMR, here you go. While I was working on planting up the 2 containers and doing some power washing, husband was very busy ripping and tearing at the front flower bed. Hello, future Jen here, and I'm going to take a couple moments just to explain why we're doing a total revamp on the front garden bed. What happened was right along this wall right here, we had 3 hinoki cypress trees that were supposed to remain pretty small. We removed 2 of them a couple of years ago because they got way too big. And then earlier this spring, we removed the one in the middle. I guess it's a good opportunity to revamp and redo. So I did start, and of course there's weeds and everything here. I did start planting, but I got a little too excited in the early spring and planted things way too close together. Let's go in and go close. All right, so what I did was I transplanted this boxwood from another flower bed into here, and that will eventually grow and fill in. So I'm gonna leave that, but then I planted 3 different hydrangea bushes, and I planted them way too close together, especially that one back there. That's a big Limelight Prime, I believe. That gets huge. So I'll be removing and replacing these and moving them around so it makes a little more sense. I did throw some annual seeds in here too, things that are going to reseed next year. So right back there you can see the white flowers. That is a Dara, so that is a Queen Anne lace dupe. And I just think that is so pretty. So that's going to flower, go to seed. So then next spring, this whole area will have a whole bunch of Dara plants, or I'm sorry, we'll have a whole bunch of Dara plants. You can see right there is some yellow snapdragons. Those are going to go to seed and they're going to reseed themselves. There is some foxgloves right here and right here next to this big weed. We're going to let them reseed. And then I have a couple of, what are they called? Feverfew. So this right here and this right here is some feverfew. It's coming into bloom right now. We're going to let that go to seed. I have a climbing rose right there. And all of this ground cover, I'm going to keep the ajuga, the dark ground cover, but we are working on removing all of the sedum ground cover. And we've done this before. The sedum ground cover comes back, but every couple of years it looks really good, at least from what we found, to remove as much of it as possible and then let it reflush out. Right here are also 3 hollies that I planted. 1, 2, 3. And of course this bed needs a lot of cleanup. The weeds have really gotten out of control, but that's okay, one project at a time. Let's walk down here to the corner of the house. We do have a big sky holly that is struggling and suffering. I did put a whole bunch of plant tone down earlier this spring, but there are still a lot of dead spots and it's really not growing back, so I'm not quite sure what we're going to do there yet. Right here is some bee-bulb that I transplanted. Here's a little boxwood. Here's a big old shrub. I believe this is a spirea. Yes, this is a spirea. And right over here, we have a little bit of our stone edging that we had done years and years and years ago. So even before we pulled out the hinoki cypress that was right here, I did decide this year I wanted to redo the whole edging, kind of like make it a little more easier for husband to mow. And I want to do a mixture of boulders and then metal edging. So this is probably going to take all season. We're working on this just a little bit at a time because this is the front of the house and it gets blasted with afternoon sun. It gets really, really hot. So the brick radiates the heat as well. So just to make it easier on us, we were doing it just a little bit at a time, and we've been focusing on the back beds a lot so far this year. So that's why this bed is kind of looking like a hot mess express. I have 4 clumps of lamb's ear that are spreading profusely. They are going to be removed. I have a Weigela right here that I love. I have a boxwood that needs trimmed. And then here is another spirea. I believe this is a snowball spirea. And this bad boy is also going to get moved because, of course, it's too big for this section. What the plan is for this spot right here, and this is the area that husband was clearing out and removing all the ground cover and all the weeds. What we're going to do is we're going to do a little tiered wall right here with some of the stone. So we're going to have 2 levels. We'll have an upper level and a lower level. And after this bush is removed, the bed might even, or the wall might even come over here a little bit more. We shall see. Let me show you the pile of stones. Okay, at the edge of our property, and that's our part of our septic system right there, that piece of concrete. Right down there at the very bottom of the property is where we dumped all of the extra boulders from the backyard project. We put them down there because we knew that we would eventually use them throughout the property. So those are the stones that we're going to bring and use to partially edge this border. It's going to be nice, neat, and tidy with boulders. I'm thinking a boulder and then like 4 feet of edging, and then another boulder, and then 4 feet of edging, and so on and so forth. This shrub right here isn't the prettiest, and of course it needs pruned, but this shrub is staying, and I am not going to move it. I'm not a very sentimental person when it comes to objects or, things or stuff like that, but when it comes to plants, I get a little bit sentimental. So this is the shrub where our 2 cats that are now in our house, Hovey and Lily, this is where they were born. So this shrub means a lot to me because this is where our sweet little angels were born. Therefore, this shrub is staying. It's going to get a nice little prune. We're going to work around it. We're going to make it pretty. I know right now it looks awful, but that's okay because it has been so hot and this weather has been so weird. Super windy all throughout the spring, even into the summer. So windy that it's really hard to work outside. And then we had the heat wave, and then we just recently had torrential downpours. So things are going to look a little haphazard. All right, this evergreen is going to be transplanted, and then I have peonies right here. I'm going to replant all the peonies right here in this section as like one big clump. And then here is a beautiful candy corn spirea. That is just beautiful. And that, of course, is going to get a trim as well. And then here are uglies. There's weeds, and there's ground cover that needs cleaned up, and there's more weeds. And then we're going to circle over to the driveway bed. Let me go over here and show you the driveway bed and explain what's going on with this. Okay. So this is an evergreen. I forget the name of this holly, but it's okay. We'll let it there. Now this right here, I'm going to have to look for the plant tag and see what it is. This is actually throwing runners and spreading underground. You can see right there is a runner. Right there are some runners. So this plant is going to be removed. I will probably replace it with one of the hydrangeas from the front flower bed that I shouldn't have put there to begin with. This is a beautiful shrub. I forget the name of this. I'll have to look at what the name of this shrub is, but this is an abelia. I remember. Beautiful abelia shrub. And this flower bed is only 2.5 years old. Here is a beautiful hydrangea that is coming into bloom. And more excitingly, right down here in the springtime when I was pruning my hydrangea, I put 2 little starts in the ground, and here they are. They both took, so I'm going to have 2 more hydrangea plants that next year I can pull and replant. I'm going to definitely have to do some more propagating because that worked amazingly. I haven't touched these. I put them in the ground and forgot about them. They are taking care of themselves. And this right here is a big, huge dinner plate hibiscus. Bugs are eating it right now. They love the leaves. We'll have to get some organic neem oil and spray because I believe it's Japanese beetles that's going after this. But you can see, let me get it to stop blowing. You can see right there, there's a little bloom starting. And this just, once it blooms, man, it just keeps going. It is stunning. Right here is another spirea. And I believe I just planted this spirea here last year and it's quadrupled in size. And then finally at the very end of the driveway bed is another boxwood that of course needs trimmed up. So let me, and please excuse the tractor. But here's the driveway bed. Over here is a heritage birch tree that I love. It's a river birch. And then back there, that is an October Glory maple tree. So yeah, this is the front bed. That is the plan. One thing at a time. It's not gonna happen anytime soon, but hopefully by the end of the season, this front bed is all buttoned up. Looks beautiful, has a great transformation, and I will be hopefully happy with the results. First thing on our list of chores to do in the garden is install this giraffe 130-foot hose reel. Now, the installation of this hose reel was super simple. There was a template on the very back of the instruction manual that we held up to mark where the 4 screws go. And then you can see the husband is ratcheting in the bolts, I should say, not the screws. He is ratcheting in the bolts while I am holding up the hose reel. The only problem with this hose reel is that I think that we put it way too high in the air. So next year when we put it back up for the season, we will definitely lower it down so it looks a little better in the garden. I got most of the jungle cleaned up. I'm just going to let the debris fall where it may and let it compost into the ground. I'll probably take some zinnias and sprinkle some zinnia seeds in this section. The other thing I wanted to get done is to stake up this Shasta daisy a little bit. So I have old metal fencing and I'm just going to try to prop up the Shasta daisy around this fence. Well, that looks 25 levels of awful, but I'm walking away from it right now. Okay. So another frustration is I believe that we have a skunk that is visiting us. He dug in this container last night, and also up in the deck he totally destroyed a container. So that happened. This is going great. All right, I am going to water a couple of more plants. And then I'm going to call it a day. Oh, there's my shadow. Gotta water my annuals. Hopefully we get rain tomorrow. At this point, I was so hot and tired and frustrated, I decided to just call it a day. Will you quit laughing at me? Oh, I'm such a pro. Hi, welcome to my garden. My name is... I can't even do this with you. Can you not smirk?